This conference will now be recorded.
And so I will continue. This meeting kind of resulted with a conversation I had with Josette yesterday morning. I informed her that I was going to take part in a teleconference with Governor Brown, which I did yesterday afternoon at 2:15. And before I talk about that conference call, I'd like to talk a little bit about the virus itself and what how it's affecting us. And it's a very, very serious matter. And we've known this for a couple weeks now. And it's just becoming more and more serious. And we started last week with, of course, the schools were closed and quite an emphasis on social distancing. And then the governor gave a talk Friday evening, issuing some more executive orders and emphasizing the social distancing. But as most of you know, because of the beginning of spring break and the weather, and a lot of people didn't stay home. And there was quite an influx of tourism down to the coast. And in fact, out of the 80 mayors that were on the conference call yesterday, most of the mayors and commissioners from that talk were from the coast, and they had very important concerns, and they were being inundated with tourism. And in fact, the mayor from Wheeler was on the call, and he issued an emergency order for everyone to vacate the parks in 24 hours and return home. So anyway, Josette and I decided to call this meeting because even though we're a tiny little community, we are kind of a tourist community. And as a result of what's going on with the virus, there was a lot of activity in Vernonia over the weekend, and certain businesses were trying to comply to the restrictions, and some were not. And I think those were due to misunderstandings and just lack of communication. That's my personal opinion. But anyway, I did go down and tour town yesterday and went down to the lake, and there was a lot of activity there, lots of cars in the parking lot. But I did notice they were adhering to the social distancing restrictions, and I'd only see about one or two, or maybe two or three groups of people at a time. So I didn't see a big problem down at the lake. We drove downtown. Hawkins Park was emptied out. Went into Anderson Park and talked to the host there. And those bathrooms have remained open for the public use, although he locks them in the evening, and they have a combination lock so that the residents or the campers can use those in the evening. But I talked to the park host at the lake, and she affirmed me that she was cleaning the restrooms twice a day with Pine Sol. Nobody was at Hawkins Park, so we just went to the 4 parks. All the restaurants seemed to be in compliance with the takeout order only. So that it was very quiet yesterday afternoon, actually, but Saturday it was really busy. But of course, you all know that the governor gave out another executive order on stay home today. I believe it came out at 11 a.m. And Josette has a copy. I've got a copy, but I haven't printed it off yet. But I had a chance to read through it. My opinion is I can't emphasize social distancing enough. I'm personally, last week because my daughter works in the healthcare industry and has to work, and her husband does too. We had to watch my 2 grandkids last week, but I changed that for this week just because I'm trying to isolate myself and try to comply to everything. So I don't have too much more to add until the end. I hope I do recognize some issues within our city parks that could be a problem or we need to address today, I think. As far as we're kind of in a catch-22 position because before this virus hit, we tried to encourage tourism, and now we kind of try to suppress it. So we have to do what's safe for the community. I know the numbers are just increasing by the hour. We watched the world news. Italy 2 days ago, they had 724 deaths in 24 hours, and that caught my attention. So I think this community has come together twice in my time that I've been around. Amazingly, after the 1996 flood and the 2007 flood, this community really stepped up and really brought out the best of us. And I see a lot of that going on right now. Our supermarket here is working exceptionally hard and trying to make it safe for everyone. And Randy's doing a great job. In fact, he's even delivered groceries to those residents that can't get in and get groceries. But just like everywhere else, we're having issues with people coming from out of town and buying up all the anemones we need. And so I think things are getting a little bit more balanced out. But with this new executive order, I think we all ought to take a good look at it and see where it affects us and just come up with solutions to further protect our citizens and those that pass through. So with that, I'm going to open it up to the council, or maybe you want to add something to that, Josette?
Well, staff has some recommendations, and I don't know if council wants to give their opinions first and then hear, or if you guys want us to go first.
Point of order, Mayor.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Councilor.
Mayor Hobart, this is Councilor Allen. I didn't hear your vote on acceptance of the agenda. Did I miss that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that you voted yay.
No, I'm talking about yourself, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I vote yay. Thanks for that correction, Councilor Allen.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
This is Counselor McNair.
Did you get that correction, Stephanie? I voted yay on the agenda.
Yes, I have that reflected.
Okay, thank you. Counselor McNair.
Yeah, this is Counselor McNair. I'd like to hear staff report first. Maybe she could give a brief summary of what the latest information has come out of the governor on her new executive order and emergency order. I have not heard it, so I'm curious as to what that how that might play into all the issues.
Okay. Mayor, am I okay to speak on that?
Yes, you are, Josette.
Okay, so most of the community businesses are following the current standard of the executive order for takeout and delivery only. She did, with this order, shut down boutiques, retail that's non-essential, and other areas in the business professionals. So there are going to be some businesses that were currently open to 1 or 2 customers that now are going to be closed outright. The real area where the city has some changes that staff sees need to be made is in her section on outdoor recreation. She wants skate parks, pools, outdoor sports courts, and playground equipment areas closed, which staff believes we should probably follow that with signage at the playground that kind of lets people know. The trail system or hiking in the parks, as long as people are following the social distancing rule, that's not really in her order specifically. She does still allow on-site bathrooms, but she has some things that need to be in those for them to stay open. And so staff would propose that we close all the park public restrooms and leave just the city hall front ones open, if any of them. Because for staff to go in there and repeatedly clean, and then we're still waiting for our backup order of supplies for toilet paper for the restrooms, and if we keep them open, there's a potential we'll have to shut them anyway because we'll run out before our order comes in. Are there any questions?
So,
Is that under section paragraph 2 there, where it says starts with amusement parks, Josette?
No, so I'm on page 7,
Okay.
19, 20, and 21. So those are
Yeah, I've got it in
specific
front of
to
me.
outdoor recreation.
Oh, okay.
So she's closing the Oregon parks.
This order does not
facilities.
prohibit camp hosts or veterans. Okay.
Yeah. And then specifically to Anderson Park, we currently have no, air quotes, recreational campers there. The only campers that are there currently are our extended stay workforce campers that really, Anderson Park is a home site. They're not here vacationing, they're here working in industries over the hill. So we wouldn't be allowing anybody to come in and camp recreationally.
Can you read 21 for everybody?
Sure. So it says, for public recreational areas that are permitted to remain open subject to this executive order, signs requiring social distancing must be posted at all entrance, exit, and in prominent areas. On-site restrooms must have trash cans and soap and water or hand sanitizer available. Users of public recreational areas must strictly adhere to social distancing guidelines. So we just,
what is the
go ahead.
Go ahead,
Yeah, Mayor.
Councilor Allen.
Well, I'm just saying it's
Go ahead.
very hard to clean these restrooms. I'm dealing with that out here at PDX myself. We've had to buy sprayers, gallon or two sprayers, and we're mixing third cup bleach per gallon, and we're spraying down the entire restroom, inside out handles. You know, a lot of these are portable restrooms. I give you that, but still, when you talk about a park host cleaning the restroom, it's a little different than probably sanitizing with a sprayer and having to do it multiple times a day to be safe. So it's just a thought of mine that it's going to take more than once a day, and you probably need to spray everything down. And Anderson Park is another situation. We've got long-term people there, but I don't know what the answer is at the lake, so I'm waiting to hear input from the rest of you.
Councilor Webb.
Any more? Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Webb.
This is just my thoughts on this. I was a little disappointed in the executive order today because it still doesn't seem to limit travel, and that seemed to be the crux of people traveling into communities and overwhelming us. I believe that if we were only dealing with local residents, we wouldn't have the level of concern as what we probably did when we saw what was going on over the weekend at the parks. I'm a little hesitant to close down all the bathrooms. Unless people know where City Hall's open, that be the exception. But I do notice a lot of the people that are transporting goods and stuff, our own postal delivery people, use our restrooms. I've seen them down at Spencer. I've seen them at the lake. And then other people, delivering goods, they swing in and use them. There is a reality. People are going to go to the bathroom. If you're too far removed from your home base, it's just a fact of life. And we also need to recognize that that's going to occur and try to make that a something in an orderly fashion. I'm done.
Thank you, Councilor Webb. Any other councilors' comments on this?
This is Councilman McNair.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to add something to this. The reality is the more that they close down these other venues, on the coast, these people are going to start seeking out places to go, and we might not have all the things that the coast has to offer, but they'll show up. And I just think that we should be concerned about the community itself. I'm concerned about one of the reasons why I prefer to see the City Hall left open is there's a segment of our population that uses that because they literally don't have any other place to go. So I didn't want them cut off. But somewhere along the line, I guess somewhere you have to start drawing a line on this stuff. And if they intend it, you got to cut them off somewhere. And putting staff at risk, like the park hosts and what have you, to go in and clean those areas. And like Councilman Allen said, that would be an ongoing process. that the latest I've heard, the virus will stay active up to 3 days on a metal or plastic surface. So it's an issue at hand to have to deal with. And I'm finished there.
Thank you, Counselor. This is Mayor Hobart. I'd like to offer my take on the city parks and the restroom situation. I've been thinking a lot about it lately, and I think in light of what's going on and with the stay-at-home order issued, I just think that we need to keep that lake open where they can walk around it. But I personally feel that the restrooms should be closed, and I do like the idea of the city hall restroom being open. And then I also like the idea of the bathroom door locks to be utilized only in the evening, so that the residents could use the bathrooms in the evening, but closed to the public during the day. And I just see, I think that would actually, if people knew that those restrooms were closed, I think that would kind of deter tourism somewhat. And I just think it would be a helpful situation, and where the local residents can still walk around the mill pond and put a fishing line in for an hour or so, and that would be good to keep that open. So I like your idea of closing off the playgrounds too, Josette. For right now, that's my take on it. I have one more thing to add to that. Because the executive order went into effect, the stay-at-home order went into effect, there was quite a reduction on lunches that were picked up today. I think people just stayed home. And out of the 20 lunches we took up to the Miss School today, only two are passed out. So people are staying home. So it's starting to work a little bit. That's all I have on that.
So this is Susan Wagner. The one thing I'd ask is if we do lock the bathrooms, particularly at the parks, that we identify where restrooms are available. Because even if you're not intending to stop somewhere, you see a public park, you presume there's a bathroom, you have to go. It would be good for us to direct people. Otherwise, we're going to, I suspect, start finding messes places. And I have a legal question about the lake, because as I recall, isn't the lake state park? Or is that specific area around the lake city?
So this is Josette, the state park stops at the corner right by the new bike fix-it station at Adams, and it's contained to the linear trail.
Okay.
The rest is maintained and in the ownership of the city.
So it is ownership of the city.
Yeah, it pinches down right there where Adams comes across at the bridge there.
Okay.
That was a good question, Councilor Wagner, because I was going to ask the same thing. So the trailhead ends right there at Anderson Park, Josette?
Yeah, that's their, yep.
Yep.
It kind of comes to a point at Adams Avenue, and then it's kind of weird. It's like a triangle, and comes to a point at the end of the linear trail there, right at Adams, and then the cities is from Adams Avenue all the way down and around the lake.
Okay.
We have a
I
maintenance
got something to
agreement
add, Mayor.
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Josette. I wasn't trying to cut you off.
Oh, okay. We have a maintenance agreement that the city maintains in closer down to Umatilla as far as maintenance with the state parks. That was in our transfer for the Rhodes Avenue property, was a long-term agreement that we would blow that area off, but it is state park owned. Umatilla, Weed, Madison, and then it gets to the cities as the linear park trail hits Adams.
So everyone knows that the state parks are closed now, so there shouldn't be well, there's going to be hikers, I guess, and bikes on the linear park trail, I guess, still. But
Well, legally, Mayor, the state parks have said the linear park trail is closed.
okay, so that answered my question. So there shouldn't be anyone on the Banks Vernonia Linear Park Trail.
I got something to add, Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilor Allen.
So, a lot of us saw what happened Saturday. I received some pictures also. There was large motorcycle groups that parked all around the mini mart. Must have been 20, 30, 40 bikes. I don't know. So that's definitely not social distancing. I don't know what our businesses can do to go out and break up that kind of thing. If they see it, they probably should be trying. Also, down there next to Black Bear, the outdoor area had a big bonfire going, and a bunch of bikers were there. Must have been a dozen or so bikes parked out front, and people sitting all around the fire. There definitely wasn't 6 feet apart. So I don't know what was going on there. So little coffee shops seem to have people packed inside also. So it seems like our business community needs to get some information from our city to make sure that they're helping us comply with all this stuff, and especially with the out of town crowd. I think that was probably the main problem. But back to the bathroom issue, I don't know if we can post close and locals can call a number and get a key code if they need to get in, or talk to park host, or some of the doors probably don't have a key code and maybe we have to install them. I don't know. Just a thought. By closing them, then we're probably not encouraging big groups of people to crowd around areas. But like Councilor Webb said, there are going to be people, including our own community, get out and walk about and might have to use those facilities. But we don't have to let the outside of Vernonia use them. So we need to probably figure a way to do that.
So, Mayor, can I speak to what Councilor Allen said about the businesses?
Yes, please.
So, just for council's information, we did receive, as a city and a police department, multiple calls regarding businesses not following the previous executive order to limit food distribution and stuff to delivery and takeout only, no consumption on site. So all the businesses that were not in compliance were visited by the Vernonia police and told that they needed to disperse those people, and if they were found to do it again, that the police would have to call OLCC and the health department, which are the two agencies that regulate the businesses. And following that visit from the police, then the next night, which would have been Sunday night, an afternoon and evening, all of the businesses seemed in compliance. So one of the other ideas that staff has is having the police check that people are maintaining that requirement by the executive order and potentially posting the rule for the business in some sort of police document that says no on-site consumption per executive order, and listing that so that nobody can say they didn't know that was the rule from the public or from visitors. And then that would also give kind of some pushback to the businesses to be able to say, look, I have to comply to this, and here's the order right here. Because I think a lot of those businesses are looking at their long-term kind of view and seeing they potentially are not going to have any customers, and thought maybe what's the harm in having a few paying customers in this last chance till the hammer really comes down. So while I understand it, I don't think it was the smartest move, because currently Columbia County residents, we don't have any cases, and granted, all of the people visiting were from some other county, potentially Washington County, which has the most cases of anywhere in the state currently. So that's another option, that the police could deliver the executive order printed for businesses to post, and maybe some sort of signage that says, I'm complying with the takeout and delivery only executive order.
So
One more thing.
can I chime in on that?
Yeah.
So how does
Go
a
ahead.
business like, let's just say the Mini Mart, just for an example, not that I'm picking on them or anything, but everybody's stopping there from out of town. They're pulling the door, they're handling the doors ungloved, they're handling the coolers, they're touching countertops, and it's an all day long thing. How do they not transfer anything somebody would have in that touch capacity? I mean, you'd think doors would be propped open and they wouldn't be allowed to, I don't know. I mean, are they still selling food out of there and everything? It just seems like a great way to transfer stuff, not only to the people of our town, but to the workers there.
Yeah, so Mini Mart did roughly 2 hours ago just post their own policy that they're limiting the number of customers in the inside the store to 5 customers, and they will stop people at the door if there's 5 customers in the business. So they're taking it seriously on their own and developing their own policy to keep their staff and customers safe from that. But it is a risk, and that's part of the reason that the governor's trying to get people not to travel except for essential trips, is because you don't know what you're grabbing or touching when you're grabbing a handle. And other than the businesses being smart and wiping it down to the best of their ability, a store like Mini Mart, or even Randy's for that matter, it's almost impossible to clean every surface after each person touches it and still sell food and gas and essential things. But they did come up with their own policy. Beginning tomorrow morning, they'll have new hours, no more than 5 customers in, and they're reserving the right to refuse service to anyone.
I wish everybody would comply, make this a lot easier, and walk around with their nitrile gloves and take them off and stuff, but I don't know how we get people to do that. So,
Josette,
tough,
you had
but
one more. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm done.
Josette, you had one. Okay.
Yes.
Josette,
So
you had one more item.
Yes, I wanted to say one thing about the restrooms. I think, if we're really trying to get people to comply, I think on the signage that says public restroom closed, there's one public restroom available in town, and it's here, the City Hall one. The only reason Anderson Park has key codes is for night access for the residents there that are living there or camping there in the summer. The other ones, the plan is to long-term have them on time lock, but that really doesn't solve our problem now. But I think the idea of just shutting them down will deter people from coming that aren't local or just use the restroom. It'll take only probably one time for a local to go to the park, realize the restroom's closed, and then they'll get in the habit of going before they come to walk around the lake or hike a trail or whatever they're going to do for exercise. It will be kind
I
of,
agree.
so I think it'll be okay. And we can post that there's one public restroom open during this executive order and where it is, and let people know a lot of the truckers for UPS, FedEx already use our bathroom here at City Hall, so I think that won't be some big deal to them.
Mayor.
I got
Yes,
a
go
question
ahead.
there.
Yeah, Councilman McNair.
Go ahead, Counselor.
I have the floor. Okay.
Yep.
That's the problem with this piecemealing everything out. You know, where you're doing a death of 1,000 cuts here. You know, instead of just, the trouble is people get confused, and then they see somebody doing something and they think, well, why shouldn't I be able to do it? And somewhere along the line, you've got to put your foot down about certain things and say, this is, you know, we can't experience this weekend of going over to the emergency room at St. Vincent's, and I ended up getting admitted for possible coronavirus. Went through the testing and spent 24 hours in a isolation ward. Fortunately, it came back negative. But in my conversations with those people, the staff over there, they have the ability to handle it, but they don't have the supplies. They're in bad shape there. So, you know, I think this is just a moment in time. It probably will change over the period, the next 2 weeks, to where those issues start to be fixed, and we can lighten up on a little bit how we're doing it. But for the moment, the time being, I think just so everybody starts getting the idea that it's serious, it's necessary to take these actions.
Councilor Allen would like to say something.
Go ahead, Counselor Allen.
I'm not really opposed to shutting down all the restrooms and with big notices and the executive order printed out next to it. My concern is for staff at City Hall having that be the community bathroom. And my question to staff on that would be, are you using the back door only for staff and the lobby, people are wandering around in the lobby, or is those second set of doors able to be locked so they're not even coming into lobby, or that situation?
Yeah. So all the back doors and the second set of doors, as you're calling it, the ones that you come through, the second set, they've been locked for the last week. So only staff, and there's very few of us that are in here. There's 3 of us, and then 1 person part-time, and a couple working from home, and then the 2 court ladies at the other end. We are all using the inside restroom. Police department has their own restroom, and so really those front ones are most of the time used just by the public. So one of our questions is, we currently don't have, we have someone that comes and cleans, probably not to the expectation that we will need to up it to. If this is what council chooses to do, we will have to bring that person in and get them outfitted correctly to maintain those more frequently.
Right. Proper PPE gear.
So
face
it's not
mask.
city staff then?
It's a contract.
Say again?
It's contracted out, not city staff cleaning this?
Well, the person works for the city and cleans the library and the city hall.
Oh,
They're an hourly
I got you.
person that just works.
I guess I was assuming it's public works, but I
It is
guess
not.
Okay. Well, just about anything kills the virus. Soap, water, bleach, disinfectant, 409, that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, I'm sure you can handle that, Josette. So.
Yeah, we can get him, hopefully get him outfitted with what we need to get him.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Webb.
Counselor Webb, go ahead.
So, Josette, according to the executive order, so all the primitive campground is shut down. The Halem Park campground will be shut down, and so those bathrooms there will all be closed in that process, correct?
Yeah, so Nehalem River Campground is not yet even open for the season.
Okay.
But the Lake Primitive Camping will be closed, as would the restroom. The restrooms at Hawkins were not yet open for the season. And Anderson Park would be locked except for the long-term work stay campers right now, and we don't have any coming in that would be recreational.
One follow-up on that water spigot there by the primitive campground at the lake, is that an issue?
Is that an issue?
Yeah, because people will be utilizing it, and that could be a transfer spot.
You mean the water fountain?
Water fountain, and then there's also a hand valve there.
Yeah, we could either lock that off or turn off the valve so it doesn't work.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Counselor Webb. Trying to move the meeting along. First of all, is there any other discussion on the staff recommendations?
Counselor McNair, I have none.
Councilor Allen, none.
Councilor Webb, none.
I have none. Susan Wagner.
Okay. Before we take a consensus or a motion, Josette, would you read the recommendations one more time to the body, just so we could have a clear idea of what we're going to put in action?
Sure. So staff is proposing that we post notice that we are closing all campgrounds, primitive or otherwise, to recreational camping. We're closing the playground structures to usage for the executive order. We are proposing that we close all the public restrooms in the parks from the public use, i.e. Anderson Park would have use to the people that are actually staying there under extended work stay. And all those notices would reference there's only one public restroom, and it is the front of City Hall. And then we'd also have to post, we've made up some signage for the social distancing requirement. So if anyone chooses to come to a public park, we've at least notified them that they need to be following the executive order for social distancing.
I do have a question. This is Counselor Wagner. What about the play shed?
She said that.
Yeah, so that's going to be closed as well. The executive order outlines specifically play courts or sports courts are closed.
Are we going to block it off at all?
We weren't going to. We were going to do signage and then just have the police, and they're patrolling. If someone is playing, say, hey, there's the sign, you can't play here until the sign comes down, and just remind. I think we'll have very few kids that will have to be told more than once that it's closed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Josette. Does the council want to, is there a motion to accept staff recommendations? on our new restrictions within the city?
This is Counselor McNair. Am I recognized?
Yes, go ahead, Councilor McNair.
I'll make a motion that we go forward with the, in order to close all public restrooms with the exception of the city hall, and that the following play structures, play areas, recreational areas for playgrounds, be closed along with that. Is there more that needs to be added to that?
No.
Okay, Councilor McNair made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that. This is
Coun-
Counselor Wagner.
Councilor Widener made a second on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Councilor Wagner,
Aye.
Councilor Allen,
Aye.
Councilor Webb,
Aye.
Councilor McNair,
Counselor McNair votes aye.
and Mayor Hobart votes aye. Motion carried. Is there anything else that we have to deal with in this meeting?
This is Counselor McNair.
Go ahead, Councilor.
I have nothing more.
Okay.
Counselor Allen? Mr. Mayor, may I speak?
Yes, go ahead, Councilor Allen. Sorry.
Josette and staff, I just hope that we can get the message out as many ways as possible so we don't have the I didn't know and uproar and everything. I don't know how we can do it, but we really need to get the message out through city pages, Facebook, whatever, post at the mini mart, post at the store. I think if we just put a sign on the restrooms and walk away, we're going to have a lot of signs tore down. People don't know, people yelling. I don't know. I just think we need to make a good effort to get the signs out as many places as we can, explaining what's going on. That's my hope anyway.
Okay. We will do our best.
I'll probably write another letter to the community. And so it'll come out here probably tomorrow about this whole thing. So
That would be good. Maybe you can explain we're doing it for the benefit of our own community.
yep. Anybody else have anything to add?
This Counselor Webb.
Councilor Webb.
I still have a fear that, and looking at that executive order from the governor, that people still are not going to curtail their traveling to go and do. It still looked like it lacked the teeth. My interpretation of it, anyhow. So, if we keep getting inundated at the lake, even if we don't have bathroom facilities, is still a concern. And I guess we could cross that bridge if we come to it. I'm hoping that this tourism traffic quells down and we just got local traffic, and I think we can handle that. But if we get inundated again, That's the crux of the issue, and I would hate to have to remove the lake as a recreational spot for this community, but that may be something we're going to have to do in the future if it keeps being a problem. I don't know if it would even be appropriate to ask ODF&W not even to dump another batch of fish in there if it's going to keep drawing people.
Doesn't make
That's
much
my
sense,
comment.
does it?
Yeah.
Was it stocked, Dale? Sorry about that.
Yeah, it was stocked this last week, and in fact, today I'd seen where that question was posed to ODF&W if they were going to continue their fish stocking program, and they were affirmative that they're going to continue to do so. And if you look at the governor's order, she's got a separate section there on outdoor recreation, and it still leaves the door open to continue doing that. And but that's part of the root of the problem. I mean, myself personally, I could drive to the coast and go dig clams and come home without having any contact, but not everybody can do that, and it's not fair for one person to do it and others not to. So, you know, it's really putting us in that catch-22 situation. Let's just hope the weather and this emphasis quells what we just saw this last weekend, and we don't have to cross that bridge. That's my only hope right now. But if we keep getting inundated, go ahead.
Can't the city of Vernonia request that we don't stock?
That would be something for staff to explore if we continue having a problem, to ask them not to.
And also, there's the state websites. I wonder if we can put on there close to open for locals only due to coronavirus or something on the, I don't know if they'd allow that, but
I think you'd have a legal issue there.
I noticed, this is Mayor Hobart again, I noticed on my way back from Mist today, right there in the city limits coming in on the north end of town, the state put up a big reader board, says stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. And I don't know if they have one on the south end of town or not. I haven't been down there yet, but
yeah, they're all over I-5, 26, big reader boards.
Yeah, you did have some good recommendation. And also another thing that came up in the phone conference yesterday with Governor Brown was those big reader boards in Manning, and right before you get to the Highway 6 junction there going west of 26, the guy had a really good idea about utilizing those reader boards for the public, and saying that the beaches are, I don't think they're closed now yet, but putting the signage out for the public. But you had some good concerns there, Councilor Webb, on well, my take is that I think we just ought to wait and kind of see what happens this week. And you know, the weather might play a little role. It did this morning. There was only 4 cars here at the Mill Pond this morning. So anybody have anything else? Before we get to our action item summary, I'd like to give a little spiel here. I've seen what Vernonia could do, and there's no doubt in my mind that Vernonia could step up and really play a key role in this social.
Somebody's got coronavirus.
I'm dying over here.
Well,
I understand what you're saying, Mayor. I kind of got if you all beg my pardon, I'm still sitting up here in the woods, and I'm gonna go ahead and bow out and head home. If there isn't any
Okay.
further issues with that, I got a flat tire that's got to be fixed. So
Oh, no.
I want to make the Western Auto before they close.
Okay. Go ahead and do that, Councilor McNair. Thank you so much for participating. Your participation was very valuable, and I hope you can feel better real soon. And I'm glad you showed up negative on that. I hope you feel better real soon.
I could tell you something just as a personal deal. It's a pretty scary thing. You go into into that emergency deal there, and it's like going into a combat zone. This is a serious thing. I know it's real easy to blow it off. Folks are kind of acting like it's a paid vacation, and they're getting paid, so they just go out and go to the beach and go wherever. But you know, as long as we continue to act like we're open for business, that's what's going to happen. So anyhow, I wish everybody the best till I see you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Bruce.
All right. Bye.
I'd just like to say one more thing and add to what I was talking about the people of Vernonia and their strengths, and there's nobody else in this whole world that can't do this, and it's been proven after we survived the two floods. But on the other hand, I think it's important that when we do go down to these to the grocery and the gas station and to the pharmacy and just this in our local health center, just to say thank you and for what they're doing, because they're really working hard and they're with us, and so a simple thank you really goes a long way. So that's about all I have to say. And
I'd like to say something also.
okay.
This is
Councilor Wagner?
Councilor Wagner. Following along with that, even though it is our city staff's jobs to do what they do, I believe that they are working extraordinarily hard and making tough decisions that are not pleasant and not easy. And they're having to do them knowing that they will likely catch all sorts of heck for it and flack for it. So I would truly like to thank not just our city administrator, but all the staff of the city and the police department and you know, the line staff at City Hall. You guys and ladies are all doing an amazing job, and I would personally like to thank you for all your hard work and everything you are doing.
Hear, hear.
Thank you. I'll pass it on.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Wagner. I'll second that. Okay. We ready for an action item summary, Josette?
Sure. So we have already printed out closure signs for the public playgrounds, the campgrounds, primitive and improved, social distancing requirements, signage, and a public restroom closed signage, which refers people that the only available public restroom is at City Hall. Tomorrow morning, we will be upping the cleaning of City Hall bathroom more regularly, and then posting the executive order alongside some of the closures where it can stay dry so people can read it. And then the police will be working with the restaurants, and if they would like signage to help back them in maintaining the governor's expectations with takeout and delivery only and no on-site consumption, we will provide that to them.
Okay, thank you very much, Josette. And I will be composing a letter this evening and hopefully get it to staff tomorrow to be placed on the web. I'll be doing that. Is there anything else anyone would like to add from the remaining counselors?
One thing, Mayor, one thing.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Josette, do you have a laminator? Maybe some of that can be laminated so it don't crinkle up and fall apart in a couple of days. That might be a suggestion if you guys have access to a laminator. And my other question is, are we retaining our police force and our public works staff, or is everybody off work?
So I do have a laminator through the library. So we'll be doing the majority of them laminated. And then if we run out of sleeves or whatever, we'll make do. We do have the police force functioning just like they were. You probably saw some staters. They were just doing that coverage of down hours with the intergovernmental agreement like we have periodically when our scheduling has a conflict and we need somebody to cover the area. Public Works is still staffed. I think we have one Public Works member working or not, had some issues with being available because of compromised family. But for the most part, Public Works, they're working singly. They're taking their own trucks to do their own duties and just following social distancing when they have to get together to go over department goals and such. So we're all just maintaining the social distancing requirement and keeping the city running.
Okay, well, that sounds great. Thank you for the update.
Sure.
Thank you again for preparing the recommendations, Josette. And thank you, Stephanie and Sandra, for keeping part of the city hall open. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if there's no other further discussion, I can adjourn this meeting at 4:15 p.m. Meeting adjourned.